shine. We were born to love one another. This is something we all need. We were born to love one another. We must be what we're going to be. And the way I could be is free.
The 8 common altar offerings in Buddhist rituals are water for feet, drinking water, flowers, incense, light, food, scented water, and music. The common conception is that one offers these to the Buddha, but truly the interpretation is that one offers it on the altar in the name of the Buddha, knowing though that the Buddha doesn't need the offerings, and that these offerings are really generated as compassion for other sentient beings. Instead of being interpreted as merely substances of enjoyment, I'd like to offer another interpretation of this. Imagine you are suffering on the road of samsara in utter darkness, tired, dirty, thirsty, and you have no safety, and you're seeking refuge. You're seeking peace, and you're desperate for it. Using this interpretive standpoint, the light of the offering represents the light in the darkness which you see ahead of you, which you recognize as being a place inhabited by civilized men and not beasts. So you approach the light, and it's the vihara. It is the place of sanctuary, the abode of the Buddhas. So you're drawn to the light, and what you're given is the opportunity now to cleanse yourself. This is the water for the feet, to refresh your thirst for truth. This is the offering of water. To be given incense, which is a pleasant smell as opposed to the smell of death and the decay of worldly suffering. You have the flower, which represents something of beauty in this world which would otherwise be overlooked. It is like the flower which the Bodhisattva of compassion holds. It represents showing people something to have hope in. The food, which is the nourishment of one's spirit, which also means taking upon oneself the nourishment of the teachings. You have the scented water, which represents like the cleaning of one's outer clothing, and this represents the transformation of one's outer behavior and character. And then finally is the music, which represents the festive celebration of being in the harmony of the Dharma, if you could follow this interpretation. So as you see, as one makes these offerings on their altar, or even just imagines them, the bodhicitta, or the mind for enlightenment, is to serve such a metaphorical intention. Also, since this is the practice of the first paramita of dana, or giving, giving is said to be of 3 kinds: of dharma, of protection from fear, and material giving. So, as we have stated in this first interpretation, this pretty much covers the protection from fear, and also the giving of dharma. Next, I would like to talk about the offerings in terms of true material giving. The true material giving of the offerings of the Buddha Dharma is where Buddhism and your practice actually becomes engaged. It is where we take our practices outside of our own personal self-interest and desire, but to actually utilize it in the engaged Buddhist sense, whereby we are no longer satisfied with trying to attain happiness by accumulating material wealth and possessions. This is where one really develops physical charity, where one develops ecological awareness, where one really tries to give to this world. As an example of the pure giving of water, there are many that drill wells in Africa as charity, or seek to clean up rivers and lakes. If this is not an offering of water, what is? The offering of food is an attempt to feed the serious hungry of the world, to end poverty and hunger. The examples are too numerable, and those in the world that are really being benefited by the true compassion of Buddhist offerings are, in truth, are very few. Sadly to say, and honest, from the West, from us, you and I, let's be honest. Think about it. Can't we do more? Shouldn't we? Don't we have the ability to? Do we really need so much for ourselves? I don't think so. I don't think you do either. And this is where you and I have to make efforts to bring light and the end of suffering into this world. Thank you for listening. May all be blessed. Om Ahum.